Hello everybody, my name is Connor, and welcome back to another Boa Hancock game. I am obsessed with this deck. I love this deck so much. I'm so sorry. I'm going to be playing it so much on the channel. I'm going to be trying different builds, different numbers, I don't know. I like the leader. I think the leader's really fun, but enough about that. Let's start talking about this game. This game was super fun and super close. Yeah, so I'm really excited to show it. My opponent is a super awesome guy. I'm saying super a lot. Call me Frankie, because everything is super. Anyway, yeah, I was really excited when he asked if we could play. I was like, yes, absolutely, please. I want to play. And yeah, his Zoro Sanji deck, I'm pretty sure he's on the channel kicking my ass once, so he swings 5 after playing out Mihawk into a 6k Zoro, and I go ahead and take it, and I think that I probably should have countered out. I do have a lot of cards in my hand, and I think, well, I know that for some reason, like, I know I'm running Pudding, and I did not consider that he was also running Pudding, and so I think I do kind of, yeah, I don't like how I played the beginning of this game, especially. But yeah, so I'm trying to decide what to do, and I don't have Jinbei, and I really like being able to Jinbei turn 2, but we can't always get what we want, and I need to learn that. But I also don't have a Dofi blocker. That's also a really nice thing to have early game. I think when I do look for opening hands, I'm looking for Sengoku's, Jinbei's, Dofi blockers, and I can talk about all of that in a deck profile if you guys want. Once I kind of settle on a list. I'm pretty settled on this list, but I do want to tweak some numbers and things like that. But we do play Sengoku, searching, hoping to find a Jinbei for next turn, and we don't. We get a Boa Hancock. Not the beautiful proxy that I drew, but a different Boa. And that's fine. It's not as beautiful as my drawing. I mean, One Piece, hit me up. But I do want to, here I want to, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with 3 Dawn. I could swing 5-5. Yep, I had to count really quick. I can swing 5-5 at lead, but I want to get rid of that Sanji because I don't want Zoro Sanji to be able to restand him and have him attack again, because as I mentioned, he is a 6k. Granted, seeing how many counters I do have in my hand, I think that I would have been fine swinging 5-5 into life and trying to get some cards out of his hand. But yeah, as I mentioned, I'm not a big fan of how I played this. It was a really fun game, and I'm hoping that I get to play this deck again. I know he is building a black-yellow Luffy deck, but I like this deck. I think that the Zoro Sanji sauce I'm seeing lately is really cool, and I know one of my local boys has been begging me to give it a go, and I probably will pretty soon here. I'm a believer now. I see the hype behind it. But yeah, so my opponent he played on the Zeph. I think that's starters, or from the starter deck, the 12? Is that it? Yeah, 12. And rearranged just the top, which is an interesting Zeph, actually. I might have to look into that, just because I am trying to think of some off meta fun Boa stuff to do. And we do get our gecko that so we have 2 of the geckos that can fish things out of the trash, which is super nice, honestly. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do here. I know my opponent's hand size isn't super big. I believe it's like 5-ish cards, if I remember correctly. He is holding them kind of up right now. Yeah, it looks about 4 or 5. So I swing 5 into life just to kind of see what he'll do, hoping to get a card out of his hand, but I think he ends up taking this, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, he does, and we are at 6 Dawn, so I do drop 6 and drop Boa and freeze the Zeph. Yeah, I freeze Zeph. I think that makes the most sense, because then Zeph can't get a swing in. He can't, so my opponent can't bounce Mihawk back to his hand, or he stands Zeph. I think that was probably the part of the machine, so to speak, that I wanted to stop. And I'm feeling pretty good at this point. I mean, our life is pretty even, but I have a fat hand, I'm got a boa on board. I've got another boa in hand, if I'm not mistaken. My cards are too shiny. I can't see though. Yeah, it looks like it. I got a Weevil too. So, and lots of counter. So I'm feeling pretty good. And yeah, my opponent's taking some time to think about what they want to do. And that is understandable. I mean, Zeph is frozen. Nothing. They can't do any Zoro Sanji shenanigans. They could swing big with Mihawk, but depending on what they have in their hand, I know, spoiler alert, I know they do pudding me at some point in this game. And I know I mentioned in one of my sim videos, in I think the last sim video, that I struggle knowing when to pudding my opponent. So I try and look for them to be at 6 to 7 cards. Unless it's a Nell, then I wait for them to... I try and get them to take all their life and then pudding that shit, because it's hilarious. Oh, there's the pudding. Perfect. So, yeah, so I'm going to take my time to shuffle my deck together. But, yeah, I want to figure out when, and it's something that I would love for you guys to give me input on, when is the best time to pudding someone. I look for times to do it when they have, like, 6 to 7 cards in their hand, or... when they have 6 to 7 cards, especially after they've done like a searcher. I think that, like, you know, having them have a card that they've searched for and then losing it, I think that kind of is the frosting on that cake. So yeah, you know, I'm pretty scared about this pudding, honestly, the having to get 5 cards. I know that my deck has a lot of 2Ks, but we get 2 of our 3 Mihawks. And I'm like, oh geez. Okay. That is rough, because we're at 6 Dawn, so we're gonna have to wait a couple turns to play one of them. So, but we do have the Jinbei. We do add 2 Geckos, so... not the worst thing, but... so this is pretty great. He swings and we get a gravity blade off of trigger, and we KO his Zeph. We draw, we get a Weevil, so we can finally do the Jinbei into Weevil. It's all I've ever wanted in my life, was Jinbei into Weevil. It is the most satisfying. It's just so satisfying to me. Or I could Jinbei into Gecko. I have 1 2K in trash, so it's not the... I don't know. I think Jinbeiing into Weevil is the better choice if I do decide to do that. Yeah, so I go ahead and I swing 7 at life. Just to... yeah, I've set 4 down the side, so yeah, I'm gonna swing 7, and then probably 2 on Boa, I assume. Yeah, because I don't have any searchers or anything. So he ends up taking the 7, and I put the 2 back, you know, trying to be sneaky about it. Yeah, so yeah, I just attached 2 on Boa. One thing I've noticed about at least how I play the Boa deck is I do end up having extra Dawn in a way, because a majority of my characters are 4 cost, and I can do things like Jinbei into Weevil. And we get 3 Mihawks. We have 3 Mihawks in our hands, so really exciting. Really excited about that. Yeah, that pudding was so rough. But we do have a board. We do have an impressive board. And, yeah. And then I do remember one of the reasons I didn't bounce send Goku to the bottom of my deck is because at the time with Boa, I know this was like 3 turns ago. At the time, I didn't get I had more cards, so I wasn't getting to draw with Boa effect. But my opponent goes ahead and bounces Weevil back to my hand, which kind of stinks because we don't have a lot of counter here. But we do get the ability to draw a card. What is the card? I don't remember which card is in my deck, but I'm thinking about adding Kaya's in, just to kind of, get some like cycle going in my hand. I think some of the boa lists I've seen have Kayas. Mine does not run Kayas. So I go ahead and counter out that swing, the 5k swing with a Gecko, just because I am kind of worried about his board state at this point. I take, and we get a red rock, which is great. So I go ahead and I red rock the Zoro, get him off the field. So 2 nice triggers. It's almost like I'm playing a yellow deck here. But he goes ahead and bounces the Mihawk back to hand, swings, I counter out with my other counter card, I take the pudding hit, and we get Dofi, and we get Boa, so I'm like, okay, like, the pudding has really sent me back a bit, but I am still feeling pretty comfortable at this point of the game, and we are at 10 Dawn, so I could drop Mihawk. But I don't have any counter. I have 1k counter in hand. So, I'm trying to decide, is it worth playing the Dofi? And I think it might be. I mean, I could swing into pudding. I can't, this was a couple days ago, so I can't remember what I do here. This is at one of the comic book shops that I don't get to play a lot because of my work schedule. But I took time off of work to hit up this pre-release because your boy is an addict. I swing 5 into pudding. He goes ahead and counters out. I swing another 5. He gives me another counter. I'm like, fine, okay. I think I swing. Do I swing that? I swing that into life. I think I swing 5. I swing 5 into his life, not pudding. What am I saying? Because I bounce the pudding back to his hand. If he put it, alright, bounce it to the bottom, and I draw a card, I get a Dofi. And I pass turn. So, I think that I think I misplayed. I don't think I know I misplayed. But we'll talk about his turn first before we talk about the misplay that just happened. I know. I don't think that was the worst thing, but my opponent plays a Rush Usopp, and I'm screwed. As soon as he drops that Rush Usopp, I'm like, that's game, dude. I just lost. And I did not expect the Rush Usopp at all. And then he plays Nico Robin down just so he can swing with Usopp and bounce something or restand. So yeah, I end up taking it and I get my beautiful proxy Jinbei. So that is a 1k, so I have 2k. But yeah, that is a rough. I give him the 1k and I show him nothing else. So the Rush Usopp really putting a damper on my plan. Granted, I really didn't expect that, the Rush. So I think that if I did, I would have just loaded up my characters and gone for a lethal, and I should have. But I've almost completely forgotten about Rush Usopp as a card, and yeah, so that was a really great game for my opponent, really well played. The pudding definitely hurt, and then getting all 3 of my Mihawks in my hand at one point, was super unlucky, which is rough. So, yeah, that is the game. I'm gonna mix up. I think I'm gonna tweak my numbers on my list, and we'll take it to a tournament tomorrow. So we'll get some more games, some more big games in, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm in love with this deck, and we are close to finishing Lucci as well, but I have not gotten any Sabos, so that's rough. The new Sabos. So hopefully they're gonna drop in price so we can get those. But that's gonna do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this video, hit that like button down below. It helps me out more than you could ever know. Go ahead and subscribe if you are new, and I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.